So, our storyteller lives in a nice neighborhood with, you guessed it, a Homeowners Association. At first, everything seemed fine, until one summer life got busy. Work was piling up, kids had sports, and honestly, mowing the lawn wasn't priority number one. The grass grew a little taller than usual, but nothing outrageous. Then one day, they come home to a bright orange notice on the door. The HOA slapped them with a $500 fine for failure to maintain lawn standards. $500. For grass that was maybe a few inches too tall. Ridiculous, right? The homeowner tried reasoning with the HOA, explaining that they had been traveling for work and planned to mow the lawn that weekend. But nope, the board wouldn't budge. In fact, they doubled down and threatened additional fines if it happened again. At this point, most people might just pay and move on. But not this guy. He decided. If the HOA cared so much about lawns, then they were about to get the most perfect lawn they'd ever seen. So here's the plan. He hired a professional landscaping company, not just a normal mow and trim. Oh no, he spent thousands turning his yard into a showpiece. Perfectly manicured grass, flower beds with bright seasonal blooms, decorative stones, solar lights along the walkway, even a custom fountain right in the front yard. The result? His lawn was so stunning, it made every single other yard in the neighborhood look terrible by comparison. Neighbors actually started complaining, not about him, but about how their yard suddenly didn't measure up. The HOA had no choice but to back off. And here's the cherry on top. His gorgeous yard ended up raising his property value, while the HOA board got flooded with angry calls from residents who didn't like the sudden competition. In the end, not only did he avoid any more fines, but he became the standard the HOA had to me. Sure lawns against. His revenge was simple: turn their petty rules into his own victory and embarrass the board in the process. Talk about flipping the script. They wanted to punish him for tall grass, and instead he became the lawn king of the neighborhood. So what do you think? Was this the ultimate way to deal with an unfair HOA, or would you have taken them to court instead? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more wild HOA tales, and check out my other video about the time an HOA tried to ban holiday decorations. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. So here's what happened. This guy lives in a suburban neighborhood where the HOA is known for being a little strict. We're talking letters if your trash can is visible, complaints if you leave your car on the street overnight, and apparently giant fines if your grass dares to grow more than a couple of inches. Now our storyteller had a busy month. Between work travel and family obligations, mowing the lawns slipped through the cracks. It wasn't like he had a jungle out there, just a bit shaggy, but the HOA didn't care. They slapped him with a $500 fine and warned him that more fines were coming if he didn't fix it immediately. At first, he tried reasoning with them. He sent an email explaining that he'd been away for work, that he planned to mow that weekend, and asked them to waive the fine. You'd think a little understanding would go a long way, but nope. The board basically said, rules are rules. Pay up. Now at this point, he could have just cut the grass and moved on. But the smug tone of that email lit a fire in him. He realized something. This HOA wasn't interested in keeping the neighborhood nice. They just wanted control. So instead of giving in, he thought, fine, if they care that much about lawns, let's see how they like the best lawn they've ever seen. And that's when he started plotting his revenge. Step 1, he called up a professional landscaping company, but not just for a mow. Oh no, he went all out. New sod, custom flower beds with seasonal blooms, stone edging, solar pathway lights, a full irrigation system to keep it perfect year-round. He even added a water fountain, right there in the front yard. Within 2 weeks, his yard looked like something out of a magazine. Perfect green grass, neatly trimmed hedges, flowers bursting with color, and that fountain sparkling in the sun. It was absolutely stunning. And here's the kicker. The neighbors started noticing. Cars slowed down just to look. People walking their dogs stopped to compliment him. His house was suddenly the house everyone admired. But not everyone was happy. You see, when one house looks that good, it makes the rest look, well, a little sad. Neighbors started calling the HOA, asking why their yards didn't look as nice. Some even accused the HOA of being unfair, because clearly, if his lawn could look that good, why weren't they enforcing rules on everyone else? And remember that smug HOA board member who wrote him that email? Yeah. Turns out their yard had patchy grass and weeds. The hypocrisy couldn't have been clearer. Suddenly, the HOA that fined him for his messy lawn was being bombarded with complaints about everyone else's messy lawns. They had created a monster, and it backfired hard. Act 5, Sweet Revenge, 8:30 to 9:30. The best part? The HOA never dared fine him again. In fact, they quietly stopped enforcing the lawn fines altogether because it caused so much drama. Meanwhile, his property value went up, his neighbors actually started hiring landscapers to keep up, and he got to enjoy his beautiful yard every single day. So in the end, he didn't just beat the HOA, he turned their own rules against them, and he did it in the most satisfying way possible, with pure petty revenge. So what do you think? Was this the ultimate way to deal with an unfair HOA, or would you have taken them to court instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the story, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild HOA tales. And if you liked this one, check out my next video. HOA tried to ban Christmas lights. Big mistake. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. For most people, flying the American flag outside their home is a symbol of pride. But for one homeowner, their HOA decided it was a violation. They ordered him to take it down or face massive fines. But what the HOA didn't realize, they were about to pick a fight they could never win. Retired veteran puts up a flag on a pole in his front yard. HOA cites aesthetic rules and orders him to remove it. Threatens $100 per day fines. Veteran refuses, explaining the flag is not just decoration. It's deeply meaningful. HOA ignores him and keeps sending fines. Neighbors begin hearing about the situation and rally around him. He contacts a lawyer who reminds the HOA that federal law protects the right to display the flag, Freedom to Display the American Flag Act, 2005. News outlets pick up the story. HOA board receives public backlash. Neighbors start flying their own flags in solidarity. HOA forced to drop all fines and apologize. The board member who pushed the issue ends up resigning. The veteran becomes a local hero. So the HOA learned a painful lesson. Sometimes the rules you make can't override the law, and if you mess with a veteran's flag, you'd better be ready for the backlash. What do you think? Was the HOA being petty, or were they just asking for trouble? Let me know in the comments and check out my video on the HOA that tried to ban Christmas lights next. Title: HOA tried to ban my Christmas lights. Here's what happened. For many families, decorating G for Christmas is the highlight of the year, but one HOA decided to play Grinch and banned outdoor decorations. Big mistake, because one family wasn't going to let them steal the holiday spirit. HOA announces no exterior decorations rule. A family that hosts a traditional light display refuses to comply. They get a $1,000 fine. The family appeals, citing that holiday decorations are cultural and harmless. HOA shuts them down. Neighbors start asking why they can't celebrate too. Family works with local businesses and sponsors a giant Christmas light show in the public park next to the neighborhood. Hundreds of people show up. Media covers the event. HOA looks like the Grinch on the news. HOA quietly changes the rule after overwhelming community support for decorations. The family becomes known as the Christmas heroes of the neighborhood. So in the end, the HOA tried to cancel Christmas, but only managed to make it bigger than ever. What about you? Do you decorate big for the holidays or keep it simple? Drop your answer in the comments and subscribe for more HOA revenge stories. Title: HOA tried to control my dog. I got petty revenge. Dogs are family, but one HOA decided to act like they had the right to control someone's pet, even threatening to kick them out of the neighborhood. What they didn't expect? The dog's owner had the perfect revenge plan. HOA limits pets. No dogs over 25 pounds. Homeowner adopts a rescue lab that weighs 40 pounds. HOA threatens fines and legal action. Homeowner argues the dog is emotional support, provides documentation. HOA ignores, sends escalating threats. Neighbors side with the dog's owner. Homeowner files a complaint under the Fair Housing Act, disability accommodations. HOA gets investigated for discrimination. During the process, the homeowner prints giant banners saying HOA hates dogs and puts them in their windows. Neighbors laugh and show support. HOA forced to back down after legal pressure. The family keeps their dog, fines wiped out. The HOA gets a reputation as the dog haters. So, in the end, the family kept their pup, the HOA got humiliated, and the neighbors learned one thing: don't mess with dog lovers. Do you think HOAs should have power over pets? Comment below and check out my next story about an HOA that lost a court case over holiday wreaths.